The Glorious Count by Alan Graham. It was only when Princess Nadya arrived at the palace that Count Albrecht Schmarkov realized he probably needed to revise his strategy. He took the business card he had prepared for the evening from his breast pocket and reread it to himself. To the fortunate lady on whom this card has been bestowed, Major General Count Albrecht Schmarkov has, with the issuance of this card, notified you that he has been somewhat taken by your charms and would be most desirous that you seek to arrange an audience at a time of his convenience so that the extent of the liaison can be ascertained. It had not occurred to the Count before this moment that such a message, so obviously perfect for the countesses and actresses of St. Petersburg, may not be quite the means to win the hand in marriage of a princess. Such a union would lift the Count to the highest level of Russian society, a standing he so clearly deserved. But now doubts started to undermine what had been yet another of his unquestionably brilliant plans. For the announcement that had heralded the princess's arrival at her first ever social function had clearly stated that Her Royal Highness Princess Nadya was 12 years old. Not having any children to whom he was prepared to pay the slightest attention, the Count was only now struck by the fact that he had literally no idea quite what being 12 years old meant. For a start, could they speak at that age? "Hey you, boy!" the Count shouted at one of the youngest-looking servants hovering at the edge of the grand ballroom. The child ran over, eagerly bowing to his superior. "Now answer this for me, boy. How old are you?" 11, sir," the child timidly replied. "Good. They could talk. And do you understand what I mean when I use the following words? Princess, proposal, blunderbuss." "Why, yes, sir. A blunderbuss is a..." No, the Count waved at the servant angrily. "Don't take me for a fool, boy. I didn't ask you to tell me what those words mean, just that you understood them. Now run along, get me a paper and a writing implement before I thrash you for your impertinence." When the nervous child brought the Count what he had demanded, Albrecht scowled his appreciation and began slowly working on a new card with which to introduce himself. "To the princess, you are a pretty girl. I own 7 horses." He then attempted to draw one of his horses, but his years on mounted military parades had sadly not furnished him with the skills to visually recreate one. Realizing that what he had drawn resembled more a long-faced, 5-legged spider, the Count consoled himself with the thought that under 13s were unlikely to know quite what horses looked like anyway. "My dear Albrecht, why have you drawn such an adorable little octopus?" The Lady Maliva Melinovich had sidled up on the concentrating Count, an impressive feat for a woman who doubled in size with every expiring husband. "Is that to impress the princess?" The Count's face oozed an awkward smile. "If so, I should inform you that you would not be alone in seeking to catch the eye of the young lady. If you look over there, you will see the famous writer Baron Boris Bulgakov. He's astonishingly clever. He once spent a whole morning living as a peasant in the Urals to gain a complete understanding of their simple yet noble ways." "I am well aware of the Baron Bulgakov," the Count snapped. "That cur once wrote a short story where the character he claimed was a thinly disguised version of me. Fortunately, he disguised me as a vain, pompous imbecile. So who would have noticed?" The Count stroked his moustache as he eyed his pen-wielding nemesis, just a small, bug-eyed man with a ridiculously long beard. Ha! He did not feel threatened by such competition, for all the Baron's exploits among the serfs. He himself had once ordered a family of peasants to be exiled to Siberia for not sufficiently oohing at one of his war stories. Ha. Usefully, the invitation to this social event had come with an appendix of all those present, so Lady Melinovich proceeded to reel off the names of all the preening princes who were his competition. Albrecht felt that none of them possessed his sophisticated style and intelligent wit, plus his army sabre was much bigger than any of theirs. He couldn't help but feel somewhat troubled, though, that the young princess's evident charms, a wealthy father near death, an estate half the size of the Ukraine, had clearly attracted such a multitude of suitors. If he were to make his move, better it be done soon. As he moved towards the princess, he saw that the baron had got there first. Bulgakov had the girl fixed in an intense stare as he intoned, "Noble princess, have you ever eaten bread made from wheat you have harvested with your own hands?" "My dearest princess," the Count interrupted loudly, "I refuse to believe that so beautiful a lady as yourself would ever need to raise a hand or knife for the purposes of, say, cutting a slice of bread for her own lunchtime maybe, or dinner time, or perhaps a light snack, or the Count began to panic as his sentence ran on. Where was he going with this? Such as bread with honey and milk and would you like to see a picture of an octopus? The Count reached into his breast pocket only to feel no card. Seeking to thrust his hand deeper into his jacket, he ended up swinging his body round a full 90 degrees. This strange contortion resulted in his ceremonial scabbard spinning round and whacking a passing waiter, sending the items on the tray crashing to the ground. Such chaos was all too much for the young princess, who was swept away by a phalanx of aunts, leaving the Count entangled in his own jacket as an enraged Bulgakov swore terrible revenge. It was Lady Melinovich, though, who saved him from further social awkwardness by grabbing his arm and whisking him away to a quiet corner of the palace. "My dear Albrecht, that could possibly have gone better. We had best avoid Baron. I think he's preparing to challenge you to a duel of some kind. It may please you to know that my sources have told me that the princess has retired to a quiet drawing room on the east wing, overlooking the garden. A man who could make his way there would be able to better present himself to the young lady, free from all these rivals." This news emboldened the Count, as he had learned several times on the battlefield. Should a general see a contingent of his men slaughtered on the front line, he should not give up, but bravely persevere, sending even more infantry to tackle the enemy. So it was that Count Albrecht found himself sneaking through the palace gardens towards the drawing room on the east wing of the palace. There he saw the doors wide open to let in the cool summer breeze. Perfect, thought the Count. Brushing a few twigs from his moustache, he stood up straight and marched into the drawing room, only to be confronted by a giant black bear, finishing off what was left of the princess. The creature took a look at the Count, then at its meal, then back at the Count. "This looks bad, doesn't it?" the bear said. The Count was gripped by a violent and angry emotion. His heart pumped with the power of a firing cannon, his whole body now animated with an energy he had never felt before in his life. "Why, you," he began, you beautiful creature, you wonderful goddess of an animal." Albrecht felt swept along with a totally new kind of madness. For many years, he had coldly admired the ornate depictions of bear in heraldry, or been amused by the bearskin rugs decorating a hunting lodge. But this was all that, and so much more. This was an actual, living, breathing, ravishing realization of that animal. The bear tilted its head quizzically. "Come again?" "Oh, don't be coy, you beautiful bear. You foresty temptress. Run away with me. Tonight I must have you. As he spoke, the Count became aware that he was divesting himself of his marital trappings, martial trappings. Freud, beware. His sabre, his medals. What need he have of such things when he now had love? By this point, the animal had assessed the situation. Its keen predator's mind had calculated that unless this Count could be convinced to help it, this whole eating of a princess business might end badly for it. Moreover, this was a Count. A bear could do worse. Wait, began the beast, placing a large, blood-stained paw tenderly on the Count's shoulder. Keep those trappings of rank and status. We will need a plan to get me out of this fix and make ourselves respectable. So that was how Major General Count Albrecht Schmarkov ended up marrying a bear. While the engagement raised some eyebrows, the Orthodox priest reassured them that as long as the bear was not French, Cockney, homosexual, or Jewish, then in the eyes of God, it wasn't a problem. And the bear decided to keep quiet the fact that 2/3 of those assurances it gave weren't strictly true. Although nothing could be proved, the disappearance of Princess Nadya was widely blamed on the Baron Volkakov. Lady Melanova herself was to swear in court that she had advised the notoriously peasant-friendly Baron to sneak into the drawing room. Those who felt moved by the lady's tearful despair at having unwittingly aided such a fiend were happy to learn that she had subsequently found love and another husband in the princess's nearly dead wealthy father. Forced by the accusations to live in exile, the Baron has devoted himself to completing his great Russian novel. It is currently 33 volumes and counting. The Count is not coming out well in it at all.